Good morning, everyone. We'll start right now. Well, a few other people I think will probably be joining, but welcome to what I believe is our 5th digital skills webinar, the second one of the winter series. These are part of the South Grenville Digital Main Street program. Digital Main Street is running throughout the province of Ontario. It can provide one-on-one support for digital skills and enhancing your digital presence for your business, as well as help you build a free website for your business if you don't yet have one. If you're in Edwardsburg, Cardinal, Augusta, or Prescott, you can contact Elizabeth to discuss Digital Main Street. She'll be the presenter here today. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Elizabeth.
Perfect. Thank you. So we'll talk about just branding in general. We'll do a quick overview of that. We will also go over the elements of a brand, as well as offline branding and online branding. We'll also go over how to build a brand kit, why you should build one, what platforms to use. And then we also have our guest speaker with us today, and we'll have a question period at the end. So if you have questions for myself or for our guest speaker, we'll answer them at the end. So just a general overview of what a brand is. It's how your business is viewed in the minds of consumers. So it's what your business stands for, the visual elements, what it looks like, all of those things put together is what your brand is. So we have 6 elements of a brand. We're going to go over all 6 of them individually. So we have voice, identity, promise, values, targeting, and positioning. And all of these things together will make your brand in general. So we'll start with brand voice. So this is the personality of a brand when you're communicating. So it is the flow of words, it's the language you use, it's the tone that you have. So it could be, it could be cheerful and friendly, it could be clear and professional. Whichever you choose, you want to make sure that you are consistent with that through all of your communication. So through emails, through comments and social media posts, through phone calls when people visit the store, all of those things. The main thing is that you should be consistent with your brand. So we have an example here with Nike. So their brand voice is inspiring, it's positive, powerful, and it's used to motivate and encourage and inspire their audience, which is why they have their phrase, just do it. That's part of their brand voice. And you can see it in their ads as well. Like they have very inspiring and motivating ads, and they're very consistent with that brand voice. Moving on to brand identity. This is kind of just what your brand looks like. So it's the visual elements of your brand. It's your logo, the designs that you have. So like when you do social media posts, if you do little graphics, it's the colors that you use in your graphics, in your website, promotional products, all of those things. And it helps identify and distinguish your brand. It makes it stand out in the minds of consumers. For example, when you're in like the grocery store, if you're in the drink aisle, you're going to see like red and white, and you're going to think of Coca-Cola because that's their brand identity. And it's so ingrained in your mind that you always think of that when you see those colors, and it helps them stand out. So we have 4 components of brand identity. Like I mentioned, you have your logo. You want to make sure you're including that in your promotional products. So it's on your business cards, it's on your website, it can be on your packaging, all of those things. It's really good to incorporate your brand on there. You also have colors, like I mentioned before, the colors on your Instagram or Facebook feeds, your website, all of your marketing materials, your typography. So the fonts that you use, you want to be consistent with those, and the images you use as well. This could be like the style of photos that you use or the style of graphics that you usually have, your product photos, all of those things should remain consistent. Moving on to brand promise. So this is a value or experience customers can count on when interacting with your brand. And the more consistent you are with delivering on that promise, the stronger that connection is going to be with your brand and consumers. They're going to be more loyal to you because they know what to expect when they're walking into your store. So, you could have like convenience as your promise. So your store is easy to locate. Maybe you have lots of parking, really helpful staff, or your website is super organized. The process is really easy. Some examples, Walmart, we have, for example, most people know this one. Their phrase is save money, live better. So their promise is affordable products. So when you go in there, you know that you're going to be able to find a good deal on something that you need. And they often do deliver on that promise, which makes people more loyal to their store. Again, with Nike, theirs is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. They do have very innovative products, and they do try to be incredibly diverse in their design. So that makes them more valuable to consumers because they're constantly delivering on that promise. Moving on to brand values. So these are going to guide your brand. It's going to guide every aspect of your business. It's going to affect like the products that you have in store, the way that you speak to your customers, the packaging that you have. All of these things are going to be guided by your brand values. Some examples of these values could be customer commitment, quality. Maybe you have really high quality products, and that is a unique offering in your location. Integrity is another option. Innovation and sustainability. Maybe you offer a more sustainable version of an everyday product, and that is what makes you different than other brands. Moving on to brand targeting. So this is going to help you decide who to market your products to. It's really important to remember that you can't target every type of person. It is very difficult to make something for absolutely everybody. So it is very important to find your target market and really dive into that and meet all of their needs. So starting off with age, you can target by age. So how old are your customers? What platforms are they on? For example, if you are going to target Gen Z, you'll want to be on Instagram and TikTok because those are the platforms that they are on. You can also target by gender. So who is purchasing from your store? Who is liking your posts online? Do you carry products specifically for them? Are you catering to their needs? And by lifestyle as well. So what are their interests? You want to make sure that you are catering to those interests, and what are their values? Maybe they value sustainability, for example. So you're going to make sure that you have sustainable products as well as sustainable packaging. So how to find your target market? You can use Instagram or Facebook analytics. You can see like the age, the gender, the location of your followers. You can also analyze your sales just to get a better look at who is buying your products. You can also create personas. This is something I really recommend when you are creating your brand. Your persona is like a made up person, but they are like the perfect customer for your brand. So you're gonna, make a name for them, what age they are, their gender, their interests, their values, their purchasing habits. All of those things will go into your persona. And to kind of help this process, sometimes it's easier to define who your target audience is not, and then think of the opposite of that and put that into your persona. You can also look at competitors, who they're targeting or who their customers are. And you can either try to go for the exact same, or you can tweak your stuff a little bit and find a little bit of a different target market than your competitors. So how to target, you want to create a presence on apps that relate to your target audience. Like I mentioned, if you wanted to target a younger audience, you'll look to Instagram and TikTok because that is where they are on. But you want to make sure that you are on whatever app that your target market is on, because that's where they're going to see you. You also want to curate your products to your target. So you want your store to have everything that they need. If you're catering to people that like pastel colors, you want to have most of your products in an arrangement of those colors because they're not likely to buy, really bold neon products. But obviously some people will, but like I said before, you need to find your target because there's no way that you can offer something for every single person. You also want to make sure that you're aligning your brand with the target audience in terms of values. You want to make sure that you have similar values to your customers so then they feel like they align personally with you, which will lead to a more loyal customer base. Brand positioning, this helps you stand out. It's a unique marketing strategy. It is a space that your business owns in the minds of consumers. So it's what people think of when they see you, and it helps differentiate your brand from competitors. So this can be based on price. Maybe you offer really affordable products. It can also be based on the products you have. Maybe you are an outdoor store and you have lots of like outdoor gear. And it can also be based on quality. So maybe you offer, luxury goods that are really high quality, that are kind of hard to come by. These are all things that can make you different in the minds of consumers. So moving on to a brand kit. A brand kit really helps you stay consistent with your brand colors, your fonts, the overall theme of your brand. And it also allows you to visualize your brand in a similar way that customers can see it. So it'll help you see the brand in the same way that they do, so you can relate to them more. And maybe you'll find that you want to make some changes because you don't necessarily like how it's being presented. You can make your brand kit on Canva. That is personally what I typically do because I make a lot of my social media posts on Canva. So it just makes it a lot easier. I have an example here of our brand kit. This is part of it. It's just the colors. But you can see here, these are the colors that they picked out from our logo. And then I softened a lot of them up here at the bottom. And I also added a few other options just to make things a little bit different. You don't want your whole feed to be, the exact same two colors. So I wanted to have a little bit of a different scheme there. You can also use a website called The Landing. It's another free option, and you can create a brand kit or a mood board. Mood boards are really good for if you are in the brainstorming stage of your business. It'll help you just visualize. You can find pictures that relate to the values of your brand, and you can also have the colors on there and your interests and all of those things. It's also good if you are brainstorming a new collection for your business. If you're doing maybe a Valentine's Day collection, for example, you can create a mood board of just what you want things to look like, and it's a really good brainstorming option. You can also get inspiration and photos from Pinterest. It's just an online website. It's also an app, and they have a ton of different things, and you can just search in the top what you're looking for, and they'll give you a bunch of different options. I do have an example of a mood board here on the next slide. So this is one I just made for South Grenville Digital Main Street. So you can see we have our colors, orange and blue. We have our logo here up at the top. We have our webinars featured on there. And we also have a lot of references to digital support, advertising, marketing, and then of course, a lot about shopping local and small businesses. So this is kind of what you visualize when you think of South Grenville Digital Main Street. I highly recommend making one for your business. I think it's a really great way to visualize it. This is just a closer look at the brand kit. This was made on Canva. So like I mentioned before, we have our logo colors, and then I softened them up here at the bottom. But we also have our fonts that we use here at the side. It's really nice because when you're making graphics, as soon as you click that add text button, they're going to automatically put that font in for you. So it's really convenient to use. And you can see I use the font here on this graphic. So this is just a little roadmap of kind of the brand customer relationship. So when you start out, you have brand exposure. So the consumer has seen your brand, maybe they saw it online, they saw like a social media post that you made. The next one is brand engagement. So this is when the customer has engaged with your brand. Maybe they followed your social media or liked a post that you made, or maybe they dropped by your store. The next is soft lead generation. So this is when they provide their contact info. So maybe they signed up for your email newsletter, or they phoned the store to see what you have in stock. Those kinds of things. It's someone that might possibly make a purchase in the future. Prospect customer is somebody that has made one purchase so far. So maybe they ordered something online, maybe they stopped into your store and made a purchase. And as long as you deliver on those brand promises that we talked about, they will likely become a loyal customer, which is the final stage, customer retention, when they become one of your like regulars. Moving on to offline branding. So we'll talk about packaging, the experience, and being consistent. Packaging is incredibly important. I think a lot of people sometimes overlook it. It's more of an afterthought sometimes because it comes at the very end of the process. But it is incredibly important because it's the only marketing material that reaches 100% of your customers. Every time somebody buys something from you, they will receive your packaging. You need to make sure that it aligns with your brand and your brand values. Like I mentioned before, if sustainability is one of your brand values, you really want to make sure that you have some sustainable packaging options. It's also important to make every purchase an experience. So whether they're in store or online, you want to make sure that it's fun and exciting, and you want to draw them back for more purchases in the future. So maybe you have some unique music in store, maybe you have a signature scent in your store. And again, your packaging, you want to make it fun and creative so people want to share it and want to experience it again. And you also want to be consistent. So keep it consistent on and offline. If you have really elaborate packaging for in-store orders, but not for your online orders, that's not going to go over well for many customers. You want to make sure that you're putting the same amount of effort into both and you're being consistent on all platforms. A little bit more about packaging. Like I said, it reaches all of your customers, so it's really important to invest in. You want to make it creative and you want to make it something people want to share. So if you have incredibly beautiful packaging, people will want to take a picture of it and maybe they'll post it on their social media and tag you, and that's going to increase your exposure. It's good to add a little unique twist or maybe add some small extras into the package. These could be like business cards, custom stickers that people can put on their laptops. Maybe it's a product care sheet. All of those things just make it a little bit more exciting and kind of elevate the experience. So this is an example of our guest speaker's packaging. So as you can see, her brand is like white and black here. So she has the white boxes. The flowers look great. It's all very sustainable packaging. It's really nice. It's something that you want to share on your story. And I think it's a really good example. Moving on to online branding. First, we have social media. You want to make sure you're catering your brand to specific platforms. So if you are on Facebook and Instagram, but you have two different demographics on there, you want to make sure that you are catering your content to that platform specifically. You want to be sure to use your brand colors in your graphics and photos so people recognize you. It's the best way to do it is if you're so consistent, people will see your images online and know that it is your business without having to look at who posted it. That is when you know you've done a great job with your branding. You also want to find your brand voice and be consistent with it as well. So like I mentioned before, maybe it's cheerful and friendly, maybe it's clear and professional. Either way, you want to make sure that you're being consistent with that brand voice. For your website, your products should reflect your brand values and your brand interests. Your store should be a reflection of your brand. You want to also find a photography style that works for you and your product and be very consistent with it. And of course, include your brand colors on your website. You can include them in the header at the top, in the little icons in your menus, all of those things. You want to make sure that you have your logo on there and it's very prominent. And again, be consistent with your brand voice and those brand fonts that are in your brand kit. So choosing a platform, again, like I mentioned, you want to see where your target market is, what social media platforms are they on, and then also what platforms are you comfortable with, because you want to make sure that you are making really good content and you want to make sure you're on the platforms that your target market is on. You also want to look at what platforms give you the best return. So this kind of depends on your goals. If your goal is exposure, you want to see how many people are viewing your posts, maybe how many people are liking them. If your goal is to sell products online, you want to see how many people are clicking the link in your post. Maybe you can include a little survey when people purchase from you and ask them where they found your business from. And then also what platforms align with your goals. You want to make sure that you are being consistent across all platforms, but you also want to make sure that you find one that works for you, and hopefully your target market is also on that platform. So being consistent, this is the biggest thing for brand recognition. Your posts and your photos should all have like a similar look and feel without being like the same thing over and over. So it's very difficult to find that mix between the two. But once you find a style of photography that works for you, and you can use templates on Canva to make graphics, you just want to avoid making the same posts over and over again. You want to try to find small ways to switch it up a bit, but still remaining within that style that you've chosen. Like I mentioned, customers should be able to recognize your brand without seeing creator's name. They should, when they see certain colors, hopefully they'll be thinking of your brand. Or if they see a photo styled a certain way, maybe they'll think of your brand, and that's the brand recognition that you're looking for. Moving on to holiday branding, this is one of my favorites. I really like when people, change things up for the holiday season, or maybe you do a specific collection, like if you're doing a spring collection, you'll want to switch up your branding a bit.
So as Elizabeth was mentioning, just a history of my business. We started in 2017. That was when I decided to uproot my life from Toronto and move back to my hometown in Brockville with the idea in mind that I was going to start my business as a floral designer in a home-based studio. So we weren't too sure back then what was going to happen with the business. Definitely retail and weddings were in mind. So we started selling bouquets at the farmers market here in Brockville on their slower days. And then we also sold flowers on Facebook. And soon enough, I was getting interest with some potential brides. So we started booking weddings back in 2017. So in 2018, we obviously launched our website as well as subscription orders. And from the get-go, subscription orders were very popular among the area. So we started off with just 6 months subscriptions, I believe, and then we expanded to 12 months and 3 months. So those were a big hit, as well as we booked a lot more weddings. And soon enough, in 2019, we started having weddings even in Toronto and Ottawa area as well. So it helps out that Brockville is so close to the 401, where we can cater to those areas as well. And then in 2020, obviously with the pandemic, things shifted. there were so many restrictions with weddings. A lot of them were being pushed to 2021 and even further down the line. So we had to make some changes. I changed my website from being on Squarespace to Shopify so I could accommodate more of a retail experience with contactless pickup and contactless delivery. And I never regretted that decision. So I've really enjoyed that process. We were getting so busy with retail and weddings that I did need to hire an apprentice. She actually reached out to me because she liked how our business was, doing and our brand values as well. So that's been great. We've hired her on as a part-time employee since starting out as an apprentice. And yeah, we just like to collaborate with other businesses as well, especially in this area. So yeah, and then last year, again, weird year for weddings, but we still had quite a few. And then we just trying to see what what did we do. Oh yeah, we converted the back of our studio. So we decided to instead of the back of the house, we had this small room where we did our business, and it was just we were it made the business a little stagnant. We couldn't bring in that much inventory in because it was so small. So we converted our garage into what it is now. It's a fully functioning home studio as well, but bigger ceilings, a lot more space, and we can actually invite potential brides to come chat with us in person. And this is just a great way for me to actually engage with our customers in person rather than, leaving it at the front of the house for them to pick up or delivering them as well. So it's been a lot better. We've also had chances to host events as well. So just pop-ups. And so it's been great so far. And it's so much brighter here. I love it. So yeah, this year the plan is to hire more staff. And this year it looks like it's going to be crazy busy for weddings. They're calling it the wedding boom right now. So all the backup brides who've had to push their wedding dates are having their weddings scheduled now, with even more couples, getting married and prepping for next year and even 2024, which I haven't had a booking quite yet, but 2023 is looking quite busy as well. Yeah. All right. Now for the brand, I guess. So when people describe Primrose and Willow, they've often mentioned like we have a very whimsical style to our floral design. I get the word whimsical a lot. And so basically, I like to say that it just means that it's very garden style. It's different from what you would see from other businesses. We liked the flowers to speak for themselves. We like to source local flowers as much as possible. So we do work with local flower farmers, even in this area, Mallory Town, Prescott, and Carp. And then as for our branding in terms of our logos or even our photography, it's very clean looking, usually like a white background or a very pastel background with the flowers as the main focus. And our values are obviously sustainability. We're always trying to improve that, whether it's using craft paper packaging because it's recyclable. And we switched from stickers to stamps just because it aids with the recycling process. Breakdown boxes that you can, break down or return back to me, which has been something that our customers have done in the past. They really know how important recycling is for us. So we don't like to use cellophane at all unless we have to do it in the wintertime to protect it from the cold. Other values we have is, self-care. Flowers are there to help our mentality and for the mentality of others. So, we encourage, if you want to buy flowers for yourself, all the more to it. As well as our supporting local, we do collaborate a lot with vendors in this area. So anytime there's a holiday, I like to bring in another business. So whether it be Valentine's Day, we are collaborating with a maker who does macarons, and she's done so well in the farmers market this past year. We wanted to bring her on, and we have a lot of the same clientele, so it does work out for the both of us. As well as Easter, last year we collaborated with someone who did stuffed cookies, and yeah, and her business has like soared since then. So I think there's a lot of collaboration that can, influence the both of us and, do well, and it just promotes I don't know, unity in a sense. And all the way, so in terms of our defining the brand, I just say it's basically when you look at my Instagram or Facebook, basically all you see is flowers, but people love it, and people you know engage with the post because it brings them cheer, or it brings them something other than, we see so much negativity in the news these days that it's just so nice to just see positivity in flowers, basically. So yeah, that's just some notes to touch on regarding creating the brand. So here's a photo of our logo. Basically, it's just clean, as I mentioned. This was a friend of ours who actually did the post. I sent images of what I had in mind back in 2017, and a lot of it was very bouquet focused. So I already had the font in mind, so I sent that to him as well. So basically, he gathered what my inspiration photos were and created the logo, and it is what it is today. So I think it's very reflective. It's almost like there's a craft paper bouquet right there as the imagery. So I think it's still prevalent for this 5 years later. All right, for the colors, as I mentioned, white background, and these are images actually of my dried floral hoops. We started doing them back in 2020, and we sell them also in Merrickville at Pickle and Myrrh. So basically, as I mentioned, our products are up front with a white, clean background, and the focus obviously is always on the flowers. And in terms of our branding colors, I tend to gravitate a lot with like blush, like light pinks, because I do use a lot of light pinks in our floral bouquets. Our customers seem to love it. And sage green is because a lot of people love eucalyptus. And so we use it for, our website. We have like a header where it's light sage green. And yeah, it just keeps being consistent. So we use a lot of what we use in our bouquets into the colors that we use on our social media. And dark green, just, foliage. So basically, as I mentioned, it's all things floral. All right, as well, clean and concise. So in terms of our social media, so in Instagram, on the top left corner, you'll see the highlight reels. These are just stories that you've posted, and you basically save them into a highlight section. So basically, any stories I've posted on Instagram regarding bouquets will be separated into its own highlight. And then same thing, if I've posted about weddings, behind the scenes prepping for a wedding, and I save all those videos or stories into a highlight of weddings. Basically, our customers can look back on that and see all the videos geared to that. So basically, if a lot of people customize their highlight icons based off their brand, and because ours is basically focused on clean imagery, I've gone ahead and just used a simple white background with font that you can read. And yeah, and it's easily readable. And you will see so many different businesses do creative things just to highlight those highlight reels. And so again, implementing color, even the products that we bring into the studio and sell online, you can see the blush color. And this was also reflective in our brand value, where we like to source local. This isn't necessarily, Mimi in August isn't necessarily local, but it's in Montreal. So we do carry a lot of Canadian brands. And then again, with the notebooks on the bottom left, this is a Winnipeg company, again, wanting to support Canadian businesses as well. So yeah, and then again, I mentioned about the sage green that was on our website as well. So as I touched on, the logo, again, very clean, communicates what we're about. We're a floral design business. So it says right there, it's easy to see. All right, my font. My go-to font is Gaudi Old Style. And honestly, this was back in like 2017. I just went on Microsoft Word and just played around with what, worked best at the time. I think it's fairly clean looking, and I haven't strayed away from it. I actually use it for my wedding estimates and my website and the logo. So it's I haven't quite changed it yet. I do think I will transition eventually into maybe a different one, but it still works to this day. So it's very clean and I like it. Oh, I should have mentioned that. Oh, of course I'm getting a shipment right now. Okay. So wait a second. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that, everyone. Of course, I got a shipment of of goods just right now. So yeah, on terms of our online branding, again, I mentioned about the clean background and having as the flowers speak for themselves. I usually avoid using filters as much as possible because I don't want our customers to get the wrong impression that certain flowers are supposed to look different than it should appear in person. So obviously wanting to keep the natural, I'll keep things natural. And if I do use a filter, it's very, very minimal. So, and as well as for our website, clean, concise, organized. I don't like to have the web homepage be too overwhelming. So just lay out an overview of what we have to offer. And if they want to go deeper into it, you can go into the main menu at the very top and select the drop down box for whichever you're looking for. So yeah, you want to keep things not too wordy, nothing too, no long paragraphs. Keep things, 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph at most. And yeah, basically, you can get an idea of it on our website. It's pwflorals.com. So in terms of Instagram, all right, I'm just going to move this little box here. So yes, of course, it's a portfolio for our business. We get most of our bridal inquiries from our Instagram. They can see our previous work, and they often screenshot our photos and send it right back to us via email as an indicator of what they're looking for. So I'll often get referred to old work that I've done in the past and posted on Instagram. So this caters a lot to my audience that are in the ages of 25 to 55, I would say. So a lot of it are bridal inquiries, but a lot of it is also local customers who just want to be engaging with our new product and seeing what we're up to, basically. So it's completely different than our Facebook. I feel like as though my Facebook is less bridal inquiries. It is very much more retail based, and it is on, I would almost say it's more on the 35 or even 40 to 65 range in age. So I definitely do gear a bit more on the Instagram side of things because I do get more engagement. I find more of my sales are there. I can make a quick sale on Instagram stories as well. And if I have anything left over, then I will post it to Facebook because I do know that I'll get a lot more messages from people. But it is easier for me to respond via Instagram. So basically, on Instagram, I do tend to use the white background as I mentioned, and then let the flowers speak for themselves. As well as in this photo, I this was an example of a flat lay, so I had a very blush pink background. It's almost white in this photo, and I've showcased a lot of our Christmas products on there in a very whimsical kind of way. And yeah, and basically let the products speak for themselves. And yeah, so I mentioned like the dark green, there's a blush background. It's very clean. It's very, there's nothing too dark. And I think it just describes our brand very nicely in this photo. All right, so we touched on the website a bit already, mentioning the colors that I use, the aesthetic. Basically, I do a mixture of showcasing our services and our products, so weddings and bouquets. And then the theme based off, okay, yeah, so basically with Shopify, you have different themes that you can choose from. And I wanted one that would cater to an online shopping experience. So whether you're a very service, like a service type of business, I think there are different themes that would cater to that rather than an online shopping experience. Same for, yeah, same for even like a vendor situation. I think there are um, some themes that you can purchase or even get for free that are just more geared towards your industry. I think did we not go? Oh yeah. So mentioning about sustainability, I do want to, I mentioned a bit about this, but we do work with seasonal flowers. So basically what's available that time of year as much as possible rather than, getting so much imported product that goes a bit against our values. Of course, we do use imported products such as roses, especially this time of year because anything seasonal is limited, as well as local farms. So I do work with a few of them that I get, especially in the spring, summer, and fall months. I do go visit them and, retrieve flowers from them, flowers that you would never see really in the stores. And I think people tend to recognize our bouquets based off the flowers that we choose. If it's something completely different than what they would see from any other flower shop or even the grocery store, you're getting an experience based off the flowers that we do bring in to put into our bouquets. And for sustainability, we also mentioned that we use craft paper. People can recognize our bouquets based off craft paper or even breakdown boxes that are clean, white, nothing too showy or very little cellophane, if none at all, basically. Oh, and in terms of supporting local, of course, I mentioned that we do showcase and we collaborate with other local businesses. You will often see that we do participate in contests. This is something that I've noticed a lot of Brockville businesses do, and Prescott as well. They reach out to businesses that have a lot of like customers that would shop at the same spots and basically ask if they want to pitch in $25 $50 of a gift card or of a product to use as a giveaway. And so I've done a few of these and they've done quite well, I've noticed. And basically the incentive is obviously more followers to some of the businesses that can benefit from more followers and just new eyes on your Instagram profile, or even Facebook as well. So I encourage, giveaways, not doing too many, of course. Obviously, you don't want to give away all of your product all at once. I think I like to space them out. I even turned down one actually yesterday just because I had just done one, and I do want to make sure that my Instagram feed isn't always giveaway, giveaway, giveaway. I want the products to, be a luxury item as well, that there aren't just something, you can win necessarily all the time. I think it speaks for, the quality of our product. And so in terms of collaborating, yeah, as I mentioned, we want to support local vendors. So I'm already gearing up to collaborate with other local businesses for Mother's Day and Easter coming up. So it's something that I always keep in mind. My voice, okay. Well, hopefully I come off very friendly, and I think I do through my captions on Instagram and Facebook. I do try to, remain friendly and professional and, down to the point. Um, in terms of, captions, I find that if it's too long, if it's, run on sentences, if the grammar isn't quite quite, well, like if the grammar isn't there, it's a bit distracting. I find that if it's too long, I won't read the actual Instagram post. I'll acknowledge the photo and then maybe skip the caption entirely. I think it just needs to be down straight to the point, and obviously make it personal, like personable to your situation, of course, but um, definitely paragraphs are always key for me. And then I like to keep hashtags at the very end and limit to at least maybe 5 to 7 at most. But yes, basically I want to, come off as a friendly, engaging employer, floral designer, but still remain professional. So I won't be like, hey girlfriend, like I'll still be like, hi friend. I hope you're doing well on this Monday, and here's what we have to offer this week. So just kind of working on those two ends. Offline branding, we've touched on this too. So basically, I want to keep things sustainable. I'm always trying to improve. So basically we went from stickers in this photos to stamps instead. It's a lot less shipments of stickers coming our way, so that inherently you save on I think some pollution there in a very minimal factor. We also try to avoid using floral foam. A lot of floral shops are notorious for using so much floral foam, especially with like funeral arrangements or even everyday arrangements. It's something that was very used for decades, but there is a movement to avoid using floral foam because it doesn't break down. So it doesn't break down in the garbage. It's basically awful for the environment. It contains carcinogenics, so it's not great to, even for exposure, it's not great to be around it. They are starting to try to make some floral foam, a bit more sustainable and decomposable, but I haven't seen any that I really want to bring in quite yet. So we do try to use chicken wire instead, or even encourage customers to order bouquets instead of vase arrangements if they already have so many vases at home. And yeah, and basically I often get told by customers that they have boxes piled up from our orders and they want to return it to us. And and I think we've accepted and done that, and we'll isolate those boxes for a bit just for COVID. But yes, we will end up repurposing those. And yeah, I touched on avoid imported products. So just avoiding some of, if we can get products like flowers that are grown in Canada, I'll encourage that and bring that in every week. And yeah, and then in terms of other sustainable stuff, let me think. Yeah, I even just ordered some plants that were bulb pans. So they are basically like hyacinths, tulips, daffodils in a container, and they were actually brought in from Canada, which goes again with our brand value. And so that was an example. And all right, so now to the studio, which is right behind me. White walls, and we make our products stand out. So basically, the products will speak for themselves. They are usually very bright in color, and they draw the attention of anyone who decides to come on in. So yeah, and same for, it goes well with our Instagram as well. So these are some of the apps that I tend to use. So I use Color Story for Instagram to edit some of my photos. They have a feature where you can actually remove little spots on like the walls, even just like I really just enjoy using that app more than anything. Business Suite for Facebook. You can also integrate your Instagram so that you can post at the same time, which is very useful. And I use Shopify, obviously, to manage my orders coming in. You'll always hear a little ring on my phone whenever I get an order in as well. I use Template for Instagram stories. It's a creative way to just make it, go with your brand, and I quite enjoy it. I use also Square to send out invoices all the time to people who want, especially for businesses who want to have receipts as well. And I use On the Go for payroll for my employees as well. So those are just some of the apps that I tend to use. And consistency. So we're almost at our 5th year. Basically, you can usually tell what a primrose and willow bouquet looks like based off similar colors that we use, whether they are seasonal flowers, our packaging, our brand voice. I even often get people tell me that they've noticed a bridal bouquet of ours from attending a wedding just based off the way it looks. So it's quite nice to get that kind of feedback. It makes it known that we have a certain brand voice that I'm not always aware of, but that I implement without even really trying. Well, of course I try a bit, but we use it with our packaging and our way of designing in our products and online as well. So those are just some of the things I do to stay consistent, especially on Instagram. You want to make sure your posts are quite similar, but with variety as well in terms of your services and the products that you offer. Sorry if I'm going too fast. All right. Okay. Here's where you can find me. I'm on Instagram at PW Florals, as well as on Facebook.com /PW Florals and pwflorals.com.
We will be having 2 upcoming webinars, Leveling Up with Square, where Elizabeth will talk with a business that has set up Square in their business as a point of sales and management system. And then we will also be getting 3 local businesses that have used Digital Main Street services through the Digital Transformation Grant to join us at the end of February to discuss their digital transformation and how they were able to use digital tools and implement them in their business to help improve their profitability. So if you're okay with it, Cecilia, if we maybe can do about 5 minutes of questions if anyone has any. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute and jump in or drop them in the chat here.
I have a question. In using on the website, does it really depend on what type of service you are offering, whether or not to have a darker background or lighter background, I guess? What captures the interest better?
I tend, well, as a visual person, I do tend to want to make sure that I can read what is being written. I do have a customer base that, you know, I don't know. For me, I tend to like a lighter background rather than a darker background. That's just personal preference. But if it works for, you know, what you're offering, and if there's not too much reading, I mean, you can always, I mean, it depends on your clientele. If they have a hard time reading, obviously you don't want to necessarily have a dark background. But if you have, you know, squares that have a lighter color background with some, you know, darker fonts, then I think that would work. It just ultimately depends on how it works with it, how it looks on a phone, on a tablet, and then on your browser. You just want to make sure that it's read, like you are able to read. That is my only concern for a darker background, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Anyone else? I promise I won't hurt or bite. um, yeah.
I do have one actually.
Mhm.
So with your brand, did you find it evolving as your business was growing? Did you have to make any changes as you were going along? Is it a work in progress? Is it something you see changing through
It's
time?
yeah, it's constantly a work in progress. It's even to this year, I don't necessarily relate to, you know, even the logo that I'm starting to gravitate towards more of like a font based logo that I want to approach later on. um I think, especially now that we have this studio, I want to you know, put like a sign on the glass door, but something that is visually appealing and not so much like a big logo of an imagery. I feel like my brand is always changing. I do have the same values as I had 5 years ago, but it is always evolving. I don't see you know, this, my style of designing will always change based off experience and knowledge. So, but I can't say that the colors will change all too much. I think there are trends in the floral industry that do alter, you know, what you like. I do, but I feel like I've always loved the clean look of, you know, a website and the shopping experience online, that I don't see that changing too much unless there are new features being introduced. But yeah, it's always evolving, you know, as this, you know, someone who is also the floral designer, the owner. I think everyone goes through phases, and I think that notoriously goes into the business itself. You can't avoid it.
We have a question in
Yes.
the chat here. So Kenna asked, can you tell us more about how your collaborations work with local businesses?
Yeah, so I'm often getting either reached out by other businesses. So for example, I just got reached out this week with someone who's interested in collaborating for Easter and Mother's Day. We'll see. I'm still trying to see if, you know, if their, you know, branding and their packaging will work with our business. Sometimes it's a tough thing to navigate. If you think that they don't mesh well with your clientele, you have to be upfront and, you know, voice some of your concerns in a polite manner. But I do tend to reach out to a business that I admire and that I enjoy their packaging, especially, and I've heard only good things about. I'll reach out to them through Instagram and just say, hey, I've got Mother's Day coming up. Would you be interested in collaborating, offering a product, and let me know if the price point that would work for you for us to collaborate. What we would do is, you know, set a limit for you, so that you're not overwhelmed with your other, you know, your other clients, and then we'll give you a heads up of how many have been sold a week in advance of a holiday, and I'll pick it up or you can drop it off. and I will, you know, wire you you know, the revenue. And yeah, and basically they've been hits with our customers. So it's almost like a surprise leading up to a holiday to see who we collaborate with, which is actually quite nice for your branding as well. So feel free to reach out to businesses that you admire, and you'd be surprised sometimes after doing so many of those collaborations that people will want to be part of your collaborating. So yeah.
Awesome. So do we have any more questions for Cecilia? Seeing none.
I think that might be it. That's okay though.
Seeing none, I just wanted to thank you again for joining us today, Cecilia. That was a great presentation.
Thank you. Sorry if I spoke too much. I have a French Canadian background, so we tend to talk quicker than we think sometimes.
Well, it was an amazing presentation and an amazing business that you have started and growing there.
Thank you.
Before we go, I just wanted to reiterate that we are having 2 more upcoming webinars. You can find them on our Facebook page. There'll be posts about those coming up, or on the Eventbrite page. Everyone who registered will receive a recording of this webinar to the email that you registered at. They are also available on the YouTube channel. If you are a small business that does not yet have a website, you can get a Shopify website built for free with the Shop Here program through Digital Main Street. You can contact Elizabeth or I to discuss that. Oh, we have one more question here.
Thanks, James. I'm loving the questions.
Sorry. So what my question is do you find, and I mean, we have different products, you and I,
yes.
But do you ever do any videos instead of just pictures all the time? Any videos? How would that come across?
So I do the videos. I do a lot of like Instagram stories, and I'm trying to show my face a bit more to my clients so that, you know, there's a face to the name, and it can be hard. So I do kind of try to do that through Instagram stories. You can do them on Facebook as well for live Facebook. I don't do too many of those. I find that the video quality can be a little subpar, so I don't tend to use that. But if you're going for a younger demographic, obviously Elizabeth mentioned TikTok. I don't think my clientele is very TikTok savvy, nor am I TikTok savvy. but I think I do it through Instagram, if anything, because it can get engagements, especially with Instagram Reels, which is basically almost like you could do a collage of videos and put them all together. It does take a bit of work, but I do find that there are people who find them on the Explore feed, and then you'll see people like it even months after you've posted it, which is an interesting way of getting new faces to see your business. But Instagram stories and basically Instagram Reels is what I use. So it ultimately depends on where your clients are engaging most, which platform they are talking to you, you know.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
So one more time, if anyone has any more questions. If not, okay, well, thank everyone again for coming today, and thank you again, Cecilia, for coming. And look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, everyone.